Now for the 2021 draft recap. Teams who killed it. And I'm looking here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got 8 teams that killed it.
Yeah.
And what I like following you on Twitter during the draft is awesome, is that even when guys are taken high that you really don't like or don't love, you always find like the positive things about some of these guys. And I respect that. But there's 8 teams that you think killed it even more than the other teams. I'll go through them here, and let's start with the Jets.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Jets, who took Zach Wilson, number 2 overall. Your number 1 player in this draft.
Right.
They got him number 2 overall. Elijah Vera Tucker, also in the first round. A lineman out of USC who you liked a lot. You weren't as high on Elijah Moore, but you were on Michael Carter, the running back out of North Carolina. They got him in the 4th round. So they got a lot of guys. If you're watching on YouTube here, you can see them all. You like their draft. You think they killed it?
I think they killed it. I really do. I mean, even some of the guys towards the later ends of the draft, Nazrul Dean, all those type of players, it was just a well-rounded draft that I think fit their football team and continued a great offseason they had. They were great in free agency. Here they are in the draft. And I think the thing that I like, of course, hey, the quarterback, I love that. But let's not make the mistake as the old franchise quarterback that we just had here. Let's start to do things the right way. And again, you're going to run the Shanahan running system and those type of plays. Okay, then we got to get an O-line that can do that. Elijah Vera Tucker can play tackle, I do believe, in the NFL, but guard, he's like a slam dunk. I'm going to be able to do everything. And that's what, again, Shanahan, the outside zones, the things where the guards are asked to get to the second level and make these cutoff blocks up there. You got to be athletic and special. So that makes sense. Okay, next thing, let's get back to supporting our quarterback with some weapons. We know they got some receivers and things like that. Elijah Moore is like perfect to go along with what they got. He's a little bit of a hybrid, more of a slot base, but can go outside. But, they got Corey Davis and Denzel Mims, who are going to be more of the outside guys. And now you'll have to worry about Elijah Moore and Crowder on the inside. And this might be his last year there anyways, but just makes too much sense that way. Yeah. And Moore's a good player, can break tackles. I think you could see him be that Deebo Samuel type a little bit for them. Fake the toss here, he comes around the other way. And then last but not least, of course, is the running back. I mean, he's a Shanahan perfect fit in their system type running back that way. He really is. The only thing that's maybe missing is a little bit more power or anything like that.
Yeah.
But when you just talk about, again, a guy that, let me see a hole, fly through it, go to the second level, he reminded me of Devontae Freeman, who Shanahan killed it with in Atlanta. So I look at that and go, yeah, the Jets were one of the teams that were very impressive in the draft.
You liked him second best. Your second best running back, right?
Yeah, second best running back, definitely.
So here's a question from Kyle Jaspers.
Yeah.
I love what the Jets did in their draft. He's the first Jets fan ever to be happy with their draft. And we found him.
There's
Kyle
some,
Jaspers.
yeah, there's some this year that are happy.
A lot this year.
Yeah.
The only thing I question, so here we go.
Yeah.
So the only thing I question is the lack of resources used at corner. I know we got a good receiver at 34, Elijah Moore, but do you think there was a corner on the board at 34 that would have been a better pick? So Pete notes here, the Jags took Tyson Campbell at 33, so just before him.
Right.
Kelvin Joseph was still there, though. Asante Samuel Jr. was still there. Could they have gone corner and shored up that part of their team?
Well, they could have. I like what they did, one, because, again, I err on let's get the second pick of the draft and make sure we make him look like he was the second pick of the draft.
Yes.
So that's where I'm a fan of it. Here's the other thing, too. And, this is where they're a little different as far as the way I think Robert Saleh and company think. Yes, they want corners. We know that. But as you've heard me say before, I don't think it's a scheme that, like, whether I've talked to Shanahan or those type of, they don't, it's a zone, 3-deep zone scheme. Mm-hmm. They don't want to draft corners really in the top 40 picks of the draft. They don't, because it's just like, wait, you can find a guy that's maybe a little less as far as a man-to-man player, and he still fits the scheme perfectly. Right? So that's where I think that's where they err on that there more than anything. Yes, Kelvin Joseph would have been great. Kevin Joseph for the Cowboys. Yeah, I understand that. But I think this was the right pick. I do. I liked what they did here.
All right, so the Jets, you liked them. You also liked the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ooh. So what I'm learning here is that to have a good draft, all you got to do is have one of the first top 2 picks.
I know.
And you can
It
start out
really
with a good
isn't.
draft.
I
No,
know.
but both these teams did stuff down the board that were good too. Kristen, do we have the Jaguars draft class here? So here it is. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne was also in the first round, a little higher than you said. You said there were no first-round running backs, but they took the one you thought was the best. Tyson Campbell, their corner, in the second round. Walker Little, we don't know what they're going to get out of him, but you said a first-round talent.
He is.
Out of Stanford, the offensive lineman, Andre Sisco, the safety out of Syracuse. Here is Thomas Gatz TV. Did you give Trent Baalke your scouting report directly because he drafted all of your top players?
I mean, it is funny. It really is. Yeah, I'm in love with their draft. I mean, yeah, we know. I mean, I think Trevor's a stud, of course. ATN, yeah, even though I didn't think he was going to go in the first round, I think I made it very clear that he'd be one of the top picks off on the board in the second round.
Yeah.
You know, and hey, for what they're going to do there and that offense and everything like that, you know, I mean, it makes sense. ATN is the perfect college spread NFL type running back. There's just nothing he can't do. You know, he would be up there already, or early runner, rookie of the year. I think he's going to get so many touches in the run game and the pass game. But then to get Tyson Campbell, come on, at pick 33, that was amazing. It really was. I mean, Campbell, again, you know, ball skills maybe are the thing that people question. But as I'll say all the time, you can teach a guy to get a little bit better at ball skills. You can't teach him, go stick on that guy's hip pocket when he runs everywhere on the field. You don't have to worry about that with Tyson Campbell. He's good. So we have to work on the ball skills. A lot of the other corners that were drafted ahead of him, they're going to have to teach him how to cover the guy and then go, wait, your ball skills are good, but, oh, right, he's wide open. So it didn't really matter. That's where I love the Tyson Campbell pick. And Walker Little, to me, there's just like, yeah, he didn't play last year. And I know he barely played the year before that. He was such a specimen and so good. I feel like it was a very low-risk pick.
Fourth guy you drafted, right? He was their fourth pick.
Very low risk, I feel like. You know, for that part of the round, hey, it's an ACL injury 2 years ago, and he's just a giant of a specimen of a person. So that's where I love that. And then, of course, Andre Sisco, my favorite safety.
Yeah.
And even Jay Tufele, who was a top 5 interior defensive lineman for me. So, yeah, I thought they really killed it. They addressed a lot of different areas on their team, and I think they got like the perfect pick for all of them.
So Das Batlam says this to you. Why did the Jags take Travis Etienne? Love the guy, my running back 1 as well. But they have James Robinson, who is incredible. I understand the link with Lawrence, but why not go defense? It sucked so bad last year. So their defense was not fun to watch.
No.
For Das Batlam.
No.
So what do you think? I mean, you didn't think he should have gone in the first round?
No.
Etienne.
Yep. I'm not going to kill it, though. First off, they've signed a ton of defensive players in free agency, so they have done that to help out their football team, right? I think the other thing, too, again, is they are looking at their quarterback and going, what can we do to help him out? James Robinson is good. There's no doubt. I think ATN is a notch better, though. There's no doubt about that.
But you already kind of have someone who's good in that spot.
I think, though, I think it's going to be a little bit about, it shows you the philosophy of their football team a little bit, too. You know, this is where it shows me, again, it's going to be the college spread, where it's going to be, you know, hey, here goes ATN, run right. Oh, here's a fake ETN. Here, throw it to DJ Shark. Here's a fake to ETN. Oh, throw to ETN. Hey, let's go. No huddle. Keep pacing it. ATN's tired. He just ran 70 yards the last 3 plays. James Robinson, go in there. Flip it up. Here we go. Set hut. Oh, we're running with James Robinson. I think it's just going to be part of their philosophy. A little bit like when we see Shanahan, where he's always got 3 running backs on his roster, and you're kind of like, well, why does he need 3 running backs? Well, if one gets hurt, or he wants to just keep platooning them, so he's got 1 running back just going in 100 miles per hour every time. I think it's part of the way they're going to play. Let alone, here's the other aspect that I think is going to come into play here, where you could get both of them on the field, and then also ATN is a really good route runner, to where I think you're going to be able, like Kamara, you're going to be able to sometimes just put him in the slot, and you'll be like, man, I thought they were going to be in 2 backs, but now it's come into like almost a 3 receiver set because he's over here in the slot. Wait, we were in our base defense because we thought they were going to run the ball, and now we're a little bit mismatched. So I think that's the thing they're looking at that way, and ATN has it all. So Yes. Was it a glaring need? No, it was not. But I think for the way they want to play, they want insurance for that position, and Etienne's better than Robinson.
Yeah. Everything throughout the course of a football season, every position becomes a need position because of the injuries. It seems like at one point or another. So have the Jets and the Jaguars added enough talent this offseason to not be picking in the top 10 next year?
From base level right now, I would say yes, it looks that way. It just, it's a lot of unproven commodities that need to now do it on the field. I need to see Urban Meyer and Robert Saleh and Mike LaFleur and everybody I need to see them perform a little bit. I know that there's high expectations and we think and all of that, but I've definitely been a big fan of both teams and what they've done in free agency and the draft.
So fan of the Jets, fan of the Jaguars.
Yeah.
You were also a big fan of the Miami Dolphins, what they did in this draft. Let's take a look. How did they do? Jalen Waddle, their first pick. Jalen Phillips, also in the first round, the edge rusher out of Miami. Liam Eichenberg in the second round, the offensive lineman from Notre Dame I know you like. Javon Holland, the safety from Oregon, in the second round. And then Hunter Long, a tight end, in the third round. What'd you like so much about the Dolphins draft?
I mean, they're putting on a clinic on team building. It's the second year in a row.
You think these guys fit with what they want to do?
And they're going to be instant contributors, instant. I mean, maybe Liam Eichenberg might have to be a backup guard or tackle at first. But either way, it's an instant contributor because you don't have to worry about anything there. He's going to fill two needs in one. But I just think of, one, the trade back to 12, and all the assets they required. Okay, they gave one of those things away to get back up to 6. So they had a receiver they fancied. Yeah, I know he wasn't my favorite. Again, he's top 20 pick. We know that for sure. And I think, hey, obviously they liked him more than me, but where I can get behind is that it makes sense for how they're building their team. You got a Preston Williams, bigger receiver. Devontae Parker, a lankier, skinny receiver like Devontae Smith. We don't need another one.
Yeah.
So we got Gesicki, a tight end. Now we got our jitterbug who can do Julian Edelman type stuff with their short routes, yet he's got 3 rockets up his ass to take a reverse like Tyreek Hill 70 yards down the sideline.
Yeah.
So I like that element of it. Jalen Phillips, I mean, come on. What else do I got to say?
Yeah. Medical concerns, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to take a chance.
Right. Well, and who's going to know more about the guy than the team that's in their hometown of where the kid was playing college football, right? So from that standpoint, too, that made me feel better when they took him to go, well, they're going to know. If any team's going to know all the ins and outs of the guy, it's going to be the Dolphins. So if they take him, are you fucking kidding me? He's the best defensive player in the draft. He's the best player. If there's no medical concerns, I would bet you he would have been the top player on everybody's board, other than maybe 5 teams. I'm going to just say, I don't know that. But
Top defensive player?
He would have been top defensive player on everybody's board. If there's the concussions there, I'm going to say at least 24 out of the 32 teams would have had Jalen Phillips as his number 1 player. He's just there's nothing, I don't know how you can turn on the film and not go, he's awesome. So Holland, a safety, yet nickel type of hybrid, almost reminds me a little bit of Devin McCourty with the way he runs and the way he's built to a degree. I think he was one of the names I said, during our pre-draft process. But yeah, he's got a great way about him. They needed a little bit of an upgrade at safety. He's going to be involved right away. So that's going to be awesome. I talked about Liam. And then Hunter Long, you already have a Gesicki who's more of the pass catching. Now you got Hunter Long, who's a really awesome run blocker. I mean, maybe the best run blocking tight end in the draft. So you got him, and it's not like he's some slouch and crappy in the pass game. He's pretty good. So I just look at all of that and just go, damn. I mean, between last year's draft, what they did in free agency, and now this draft right here, and they got all these picks in next year's draft too. It's just they're kicking ass.
Got a question from Tom Brady is booty.
Ooh.
So not a fan of Tom Brady, I think. Can the Dolphins, who many regard as having a top 3 draft, including Chris Simms, seriously compete with Buffalo for the AFC East? Their additions could make immediate impact.
Yes.
So it puts them right there with the Bills?
I think it's like,
I mean, they weren't far off this past year.
Exactly right. Player for player, they are right there. There's just one element we need to see, right? And I'm not trying to be a jerk here.
I know.
We just got to see the quarterback take that next step. Okay? I know I'm a Tua hater. I get it. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, we just need to see that, right? Not that he has to take over the world and have some Josh Allen breakout type year, but to where we just go, then they can just run an offense. They're not worried about kind of managing him or, ooh, let's run the ball because we don't trust it or anything like that. That's the big thing. But player for player, I mean, the Dolphins roster is young, up and coming, and extremely talented and not even close to their potential yet. So that's what's exciting about the Dolphins.
You've put Dolphin fans in a very weird position now because you've been complimentary of their draft, their teams, their new players, their coach, but not their quarterback.
I saw that a lot on social media during the draft where people are like, I hate this guy, but I love his draft takes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you hate me because of what? My last year's draft takes.
So, exactly. So conflicted here. So Dolphins had a good draft. Another team that you think had a good draft was my Detroit Lions. Ladies and gentlemen,
baby,
we've done it. We've done it. Brad Holmes comes. Look at that.
Oh, look at this stud.
Pete was. This is
See?
my. So on YouTube right now, if you're just listening, I feel sorry for you because what you could see on YouTube is me looking cool in my Lions draft hat, feeling confident that we got. And I'm going to grade it right now.
Yeah.
An A+ draft.
I like how you looked at me to confirm your looking cool comment. You're like, right? I look cool, right? No, you do look cool.
You're like an
you
old
look like
guy,
a guy who
or
can
an
maybe
old guy
rap
trying
or
to
have a rhyme.
You're right. It's like I've tried to rap in the past.
Right.
That's a picture of a man who's tried to
Yeah,
rap.
you're like, oh, is that famous early 90s
As
rapper?
I was doing that, I was like, how do I look cool to my wife? And she was like, I don't know, maybe walk by the camera. So that was me walking by the camera. Maybe one of the more embarrassing
What I
photos
think
I've ever
is
taken.
crazy is that is probably exactly how that conversation went down.
It was. I was like,
know.
what do I do? I was like, I look so lame just standing here. Like, just start walking. Maybe that'll be cool.
You're hilarious.
So-
I fucking loved it.
Oh, good.
I mean-
Penei Sewell.
Yes, go through it.
At the top there. Anzarike, right?
Right.
Levi Anzarike, the big defensive tackle, second. Elim Mcneal, I think Elim Mcneal from North Carolina State, the defensive tackle.
Yeah, one of my faves.
Big corner from Syracuse. Meliafanu.
Yeah.
Like hard names to say for me. I'm going to get to know them more as the time goes on, but you like their draft.
I mean, really everything. Every pick. Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you would have told me what team he was going to end up at, I would have told you the Rams or the Lions. I knew it. He's Cooper Kupp. He's that guy. That's what I kind of said during the draft process. I knew it. Not going to like wow you, like, whoa, he's so fast, but you're going to go, damn, he's a great route runner. He catches everything, and he's got good enough speed so that was great. But like, first off, hey, I mean, one, the name of the game is the line of scrimmage, like you know, right? And then two, the name of the game is definitely the line of scrimmage when your head coach is Dan Campbell, and all he talks about is biting kneecaps and ankles and eating toes for lunch, and like, so. Yeah, okay. So I love when the personality of the coach and the roster kind of come together where you're like, whoa, this roster really like just speaks the coach. This is him, right? Oh, you got Penei Sewell, the biggest ass kicker in the draft on the offensive line? Great. Yeah. Oh, you got Levi Onwuzurike, the biggest ass kicker on the interior defensive line in the draft? Whoa, great. Oh, wait, the next round you got Elim Mcneal, the biggest fucking plugger, mosh pitter, run stopper in the draft. And oh, yeah, he's a pretty good athlete to go on top of that. Mm-hmm. You know, Melon Fonwu was not my favorite cover corner, but he's a very good athlete and has size. They might be able to, they'll find out a role for him, whether it's covering tight ends or being a third safety or something like that. You'd heard me talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then even Derek Barnes in the fourth round. Derek Barnes is a really good middle linebacker to be getting in the fourth round. Pretty good speed, but like, again, fits the culture to me. He's tough. He's a thumper. He's a Big Ten middle linebacker where he's like, you want to come downhill? I'll meet you there. Like, so I just like when, not that I always have to love the players, but at least the culture of the picks fit the culture of the team. Mm-hmm. And that's how you build something, in my opinion. So I think that was really cool.
And Penei Sewell had Pizza Hut boxes on his table. And at that point, I'm sure Dan Campbell said, he's one of ours. He's one of ours. He's going to bite kneecaps. He's eating Pizza Hut pizza on draft night. And there was some talk that they could go quarterback, right?
Yes.
It's like Jared Goff's probably not the long-term answer. Maybe they'll go quarterback there. They had Justin Fields on the board. But no, they shored up the offensive line. And they're constructing a team. You're right. That's just big dudes up front, right? You think that's going to be how they're going to do it?
That's how they're going to do it. It's what I've said about Dan Campbell a few times. And again, you connect dots, right? Wait, they got Dan Campbell and Anthony Lynn. Dan Campbell just came from the New Orleans Saints, where they believe in big people and dominating the line of scrimmage. And, of course, he played in the Bill Parcells scheme and all of that. And, early in his coaching career was working for Bill. So that's the way he believes in building a team. Anthony Lynn believes that. So it just made too much sense. And, yes, that's what they're going to start the game, Rob. They're going to the first thing they're going to worry about when they get ready for a team on Monday and they start their preparations is going to be, how are we going to dominate up front? What are we going to do to dominate up front? And now they got the pieces to do that.
I have not had that feeling after a Lions draft in many years. I was pumped too. So excited that I walked around in my hat to try to look cool while my wife took a picture of me.
And there's another one where, as we got closer to the draft, I don't think anybody really believed they were going to take a quarterback.
Yeah.
Again, I know the thought was out there, right? Yeah. But to me, it was a little bit like the Denver thought, where I think they were just one of those teams that was like, yeah, we're going to take a quarterback. Anybody want to trade up to 7 and take a quarterback?
Yeah.
I mean, they might as well just said that. I don't know if I ever really believed it.
Yeah.
Unless maybe a Trevor Lawrence fell to them.
Yeah, because if you're not going to draft a quarterback, you might as well say, yeah, these quarterbacks are awesome. We would love to take these. Come up and get them. These guys are great.
Every year now.
No one did at the Lions spot. They got Penei Sewell, number 7 overall. So you like the Lions. That made me happy. You also like the Giants.
I did.
That makes you and Pete happy.
You know it.
So they crushed it in this draft. So you got 2. First pick was a trade back.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney. And then another trade back for the edge, Ojulari, right?
Yep.
Azeez Ojulari. See, there are a lot of crazy names in this draft.
There was a lot of crazy names.
One of the more difficult name drafts in recent history. But that was the first time that Dave Gettleman had really traded back in a draft, right? He got a future first-round pick for trading back and taking Kadarius Toney.
Well, I think that's right. That's part of the what we're talking about here. I think when you first have to say that, the fact that they pulled off a first-round pick, to get that for next year's draft, I think that's of course part of one of the reasons I say yes, they won the draft. From anybody that knows anything within the know in the NFL that they had their eyes on Devontae Smith, so. That was how they wanted to build their team. They were looking for that position, so that's great and kind of like knowing your board a little bit. You get a guy like Kadarius Toney, who if you heard Urban Meyer this weekend, they were dying to get him at 25.
True. Yeah.
I mean, Toney is really, if his more polished route running, he's going to be regarded like Jalen Waddle and like a top 12 pick.
Okay, so here's the question.
Yes,
I am really Nash. Are concerns about Kadarius Toney's route running ability overblown or legitimate? I've seen a lot of people say that he's too raw in his route running, but I've seen others say he's one of the better route runners in this class. So what is it here?
Yeah, no, it's an overblown conversation. He needs work on his route running, but not to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, it's so bad he'll never be able to get open. Mm-hmm. No, it's a little bit like you heard me say with like Jamar Chase. Again, it's like the scrambling quarterback. Yeah, he doesn't go through the reads 1, 2, 3, and 4 because 1 and 2 aren't open. He just went, I'm going to run. This has always worked for me. Well, like the good receivers, the really explosive ones like Jamar Chase and Kadarius Toney, and sometimes they're just like, well, I don't worry about route running because I always get open. I'm open. I don't know. What else do I need to do? They just told me to get open. So, yes, he needs to work on some of that stuff, but the pure physical specimen is what you should be excited about if you're a Giants fan. Again, it's a weapon is what we're talking about here. We're talking about that Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill type where, reverses, speed sweeps are going to be a whole different game now with the ball in his hands. He becomes like a true game-breaking type running back with the ball in his hands, and for like what they're going to ask him to routes he's going to run and things like that, he's not going to be on the outside running like post corners or post corner post. They're not. He's going to be on the inside of the slot, and they're going to go run a shallow cross, 5 yards, go as fast as you can. Run a slant, Boom. Hey, we want you to push up to 12 and then cross to the opposite numbers at 25-yard line on a deep crossing route. And they'll bring him along as a route runner, but the ability to do it is all there. I have zero concern.
Here's a concern from Pete.
Yeah.
Is Jason Garrett good enough to put him in position to succeed?
Hey, I'm glad Pete brought this up, because to me that's two things that this draft did in their offseason in general. It really puts Daniel Jones and Jason Garrett under the microscope, because there's really no wiggle room now. It's like, hey, offensive line's good enough.
Yeah.
That running back healthy. Evan Ingram, Galladay, Darius Slayton, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard. There's a lot of weapons there now. So that's why I think part of the beauty of this, though, too, is they're going to know what Daniel Jones is after this year. Officially, they are. And it is going to put also a microscope on Jason Garrett, too, because people are going to be like, hey, there's weapons here. We should be explosive and fun to watch and all of that stuff to go along with it. So that's why that's exciting. Hey, Ojulari, I think, is a perfect fit for what they want to do. I had him going away in the first round. I mean, I always thought they were looking for this type of guy on the edge. Not the most talented pass rusher in the world, but a big physical presence who can drop into coverage in their 3-4-like scheme and can do it all. Aaron Robinson, I love him. I mean, that was a steal to get him out of UCF in round 3. I know I'm not alone in this. He is one of the best pure man-to-man cover corners in this draft. So I'm excited because of those first 3 picks, and then getting next year's first-round pick. I think that's why you put the Giants in one of the top tiers.
Yeah, when you look at that first-round pick in the context of, okay, what's the talent level difference between Devontae Smith, who went 1 pick before they were going to go, and Kadarius Toney? How much of a difference is there? And is that difference more or less than a future first-round pick? That's huge. They get a first-round pick next year from a Chicago Bears team that, who knows, they might not be very good.
Exactly right.
That could be a high pick.
You're exactly right. We don't know what Chicago's going to be. They're definitely one of those teams you just go, man, it can kind of go either way.
Yeah. If you ask me, I think the Bears are going to be terrible. Might be the worst team in the NFL. So the Giants, well done. You get the passing grade from Chris Simms. 3 more teams you think did really well.
Yeah.
And one of those teams is a team in the NFC East with the Giants. You think the Dallas Cowboys kicked it out of the park?
I do, from the standpoint, again, of getting people that are going to help their football team, like right now, and addressing needs that needed to be addressed, like desperately. All right? So let's start off. I was shocked that people were a little like, and I don't know, do you guys, it seemed like people weren't happy that they took Micah Parsons. Were Dallas fans not really happy? It seemed that way.
Yeah, it seemed, because he didn't play last year,
Pete,
right?
you got that, right?
He was
Pete,
an
didn't
opt-out.
you get that sense that people were like, so, but either way.
It wasn't like one of those like, oh my God, slam dunk, we got this.
No, and I don't know why they should have been, because, again, I think this was easily one of the 3 or 4 best defensive players on the board. There's no doubt in my mind. And I think a lot of people probably would have viewed him as a top 2 or top 3 defensive guy.
Yeah.
Had one character concern, and then there was the opt-out, right? So that was the big issue. They're first off, I think what they're telling you, they're concerned about their middle linebackers, and we know that. They're not giving Van Der Esch the 5th-year option. He had a neck issue coming out of college, and he's had a neck issue the last 2 years in the NFL. So they're concerned. That's the first thing they're drafting Micah Parsons. Hey, Jalen Smith wasn't anything to write home about last year either. So they got a Jabril Cox in 4th round.
Yeah. That
type of athletic linebacker. 2 guys that fit the way they want to play football. And again, I know I always go back. So here we got Dan Quinn, right? I always like to connect dots. Dan Quinn, Atlanta Falcons. He just got his Deion Jones and his Devondre Campbell, right? Does that make sense? That Jabril Cox is the Devondre Campbell type, that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Long, athletic, can run around, make tackles, all that. Michael Parsons is better than Deion Jones coming out. I mean, Michael Parsons, this is the Seattle scheme again. They want to get a big-time middle linebacker in that scheme to run. They ask so much of the position in coverage and in stopping the run. You know, it's like, again, I hate to always go back to the well with my sayings, but they got their Bobby Wagner. They got their, the Kenneth Murray. The Chargers drafted the guy from Oklahoma the year before. Same defensive scheme. Deion Jones, Miles Jack, Darius Leonard. Who else am I missing? Oh, the Browns got Owusu Koromoa. Wait, who else? I'm missing some other teams. But they're looking for that type of player. And Parsons, to me, is rare in the fact that he's that big but can move like all those guys we just talked about.
Right.
So I love that. I do.
Pete's saying some of the chatter and the displeasure with the pick was that they wanted to go corner. Some Cowboys fans would rather have gone corner there.
So now let's go. Right. Well, and then this is where you go back into the other conversation a little bit here. Yeah. One, hey, J.C. Horn and Surtain got drafted before, they would have liked. I don't know, so they probably would have gone that. There was no corner that was worthy at 12 to take him there. All right, so there's that. And then what did I say about this defensive scheme and how they value it a little bit? It's the Seattle scheme. It's like I said with the Jets. They're not always, since they know they play so much zone, they don't like to use top 15 and top 20 picks on the corner position.
Right.
They don't like that. It's why? You can have like why like, oh, we got to have Deion Sanders to do the same, like just to touch a guy and then go backwards and like I got my third. So they're going, well, we can find a lesser guy and then make the other positions that are more important to our scheme and making it work, do that, if that made any sense. But Kelvin Joseph he was one of the 5 or 6 best corners in the draft, and he's going to start right away.
Yeah.
So now you got a corner.
So you did get one.
That's
eventually.
NFL ready, right. They got one. They got a real good one. In fact, I would tell you Kelvin Joseph was better than the 2 that went in the end of the first round. And Stokes and the kid from Northwestern, I like Joseph better, and hands down. And then a guy like Odigizua is going to have some value on their D-line. Chauncey Golston from Iowa, they need help at all these positions. And then you heard me talk about Jabril Cox. I just look at those and just go, wow, that was a really good job by the Cowboys front office.
There are other Cowboy fans that think that they're not necessarily very good at identifying good linebacker talent. Van Der Esch has disappointed. Jalen Smith has disappointed. Hayless Football Talk says, will Micah Parsons and Jabril Cox make Jalen Smith and Leighton Van Der Esch expendable next year?
I think not next year, but I think what you're going to do now is Micah Parsons is going to make Van Der Esch expendable right now. So, they're going to be in nickel defense most of the time. Van Der Esch is going to be gone. He's going to be off the field. Micah Parsons is going to play there. Listen, I always thought Van Der Esch was overdrafted. Anybody who knows me back from my Bleacher Report days, I was always like, man, that was high. Hey, Jalen Smith, they took a flyer in the second round and a guy who, was a top 5 pick but had a horrible knee injury. Mm-hmm. It's been good. It hasn't been great. But, yes, I think that's exactly why these guys were drafted. I think that, one, they're worried about Van Der Esch and want to upgrade. 2, like I said, Jalen Smith, it wasn't like, oh, my gosh, that was so amazing play last year. It was a little less than at times.
2 other teams, and they're more specifically in addressing specific parts of their teams here. And one is the Chiefs, and you like how they address their offensive line. They got Creed Humphreys, the center out of Oklahoma, and then they got him in round number 2, and they got the guard from Tennessee, Trey Smith, in round number 6.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm pulling up my teams here.
You're second guessing. You don't think they did well?
No,
there.
they did. They did. Well, the thing where the Tennessee, I think right off. I mean, come on,
Chiefs.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking about the Chiefs. Yeah, I'm all over the place here.
Yeah.
The Chiefs,
the offensive line. Yeah,
yes,
what they did there.
That's the only thing I want to say with the Chiefs.
Yes.
Is the fact that they got Creed Humphrey has ended the greatest transformation of an offensive line that I can ever remember in a 2-month span. To where we went, they can't block anybody, to holy shit, they got the best guard, one of the better tackles, like a top 5 tackle in football, one of the better centers from the draft, and they got some other guys coming back and everything like that, to where I just go, all right, and Kyle Long being there and everything, to where you just go, they went from it being a serious question mark to now it's one of the strengths of their football team. So that's where I'm excited about it. And it's just an unbelievable transformation at one position to make sure, again, that they're one unit, their offensive side, they're going to win games with Mahomes, and they're a pressure they put you on you with their offense, and this allows them to do that, and it makes this unit so great that it's going to affect whoever they're playing's offense and defense and how they want to attack. Because you got to think about, wait, how are we going to handle this offense?
It's almost like after that Super Bowl, they're like, all right, screw that. We're not doing that again. We couldn't protect Patrick Mahomes, a couple injuries that hamstrung us, and they just, you're right, they totally overhauled their whole offensive line.
It's amazing.
Akers Mo says, do you see the Chiefs moving away from a zone blocking scheme based on the strength of playing style of the new offensive line they drafted and traded for?
I would hope there's a little more versatility. I don't know if it's going to stray too much into any new areas, just because that's kind of what Andy does, and that's the kind of offense they run. Maybe there'll be more of a threat to run the ball with this kind of specimens you got on the offensive line. But the big thing is now there's no defensive line that they ever have to worry about ever again. There's none. There's not one defensive line in football that they're going to come across with this group and go like, oh, we got to keep the tight end in the block. We got to keep the tight end and the running back in the block. They're going to be like, no, our 5 can take any 4 in football, and now I can get 5 eligibles out, and Mahomes can drop back really deep and have good pass protection. And okay, maybe one guy seeps through, but he's going to be 15 yards away and see the guy seeping through and set him up and make him look like a fool when he runs by him and jukes him. Right. And then he's going to run or throw a laser somewhere. And that's what they want to do. That's where it makes a lot of sense for them.
And finally, the team that you were alluding to.
Sorry.
The Tennessee Titans.
Sorry.
You jumped ahead. That's okay. Their secondary. They got Caleb Farley. You love him, number 1 corner. Has some back issues, but hopefully, those aren't going to crop up in the NFL.
Yeah.
They got him 22nd overall. And then Elijah Molden, the safety out of Washington, in round number 3.
Yeah. I think, again, Caleb, Jalen Phillips, once you got to that, 18 mark, right, it was like everyone's like, okay, screw the medical stuff.
Yeah.
But, yes, one, to get Caleb Farley, phenomenal, right? Elijah Molden, who safety, nickel, whatever you want to be, going to be playing for that team in a hurry, all right? And I think one of the reasons I want to talk about them just a little bit is just like we talked about with the Chiefs, right? Offensive line was an issue. What are we going to do? A major transformation. They got it done. Tennessee Titans, we can't stop anybody from throwing the football. What are we going to do? Oh, we're going to totally rehaul our secondary. Right. And that's where I give them a lot of credit too for these 2 picks. 2, you got 2 guys that are physically ready to contribute to your team right away. But they got Janoris Jenkins in the offseason. They signed Kevin Johnson. So they've transformed one of the biggest issues with their football team in a very short period of time. I think that's what I like about it a lot. They got a tackle out of North Dakota State. We know they still want to run the ball and dominate the line of scrimmage. Tackle was a need. Right tackle is an issue for them right now as we sit here. So Taylor Lewan coming back. So I think I like that. And then, come on, man. Get my man Rashad Weaver in the 4th round, which this is what I got to hear. So, I don't know if there's something, unless maybe that's where the NFL valued him, or if there were some medicals that I didn't know about. Because I know, one, he was in day 3, I was like, what? Is Rashad Weaver still here? There's got to be something here with him. As the draft goes or things go, I'm texting with people all around the NFL. Levi Onwuzurike, right? I love him.
Yep.
I knew around pick 18 that he wasn't going in the 1st round because I was texting with some friends, and they were like, oh, dude, he's got some medicals, so I don't think he's going to go tonight. I was like, oh, shit. I don't know what Rashad Weaver is. I'd like to find that out. The other one that I was sitting there on round 4 and 5 is my Javion Hawkins from Louisville, my running back. And, there's issues there. So I don't even know if he got signed as a free agent.
I think he did.
Did he? Did he finally get signed? I thought I looked late yesterday and he wasn't even there anywhere. But he had off-the-field concerns in a major way.
Okay.
So that hurts it. But back to the Titans. Sorry to change it. Yes. So you change your secondary around. You get a Bud Dupree. They got Danico Autry. And now you get a Rashad Weaver, who was one of the better pass rushers of college football last year. I mean, to me, those are, again, just contribute now, needs for the football team, and that's why I like it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.